Should we go again then? Here we are, 2 weeks down the road. We're back. Swap seats, but we're back. Apparently, people seem to like us being in the same room. You and I can't stand being in the same room as one another, but apparently
we'll do it for the love of the podcast.
We can pretend that we like one another just for the hour, for the sake of this
sort
podcast.
of stuff that we do for you.
I've just put a picture up of our setup here as well.
I don't know where to look. There's like
3 cameras, a monitor, 2 lights going on us. We have got quite the setup.
We're
This
all
podcast
the gear,
deserves
no
to do
idea.
well. So we've got all sorts we're going to talk about this time around. We're going to talk about quantity versus quality on YouTube, the way YouTube can suddenly just kick you hard when you think you got it down, whether the summer season's affecting things. We've got all sorts to talk about.
Yep.
And not a single mention other than now of Apple Vision. That's done for now. We can
We're
park
done.
that for
We
now.
can, I'm starting saving up for that, but that's, we can talk about that
I think we both
next year.
pimped that out about as far as we possibly can.
We'll squeeze that.
Well, it's got to be done, isn't it? So before we get into talking the YouTube stuff, there's a couple of bits of gear we're going to talk about. And one thing that I eyed up, and you know I'm always looking to nick something when I'm here. You need to bolt things down very
I do,
securely.
yeah. I've got air tags on all my things.
I'm impressed that so far I haven't noticed what I nicked last time. But so you have gone and got the 15-inch MacBook Air. Now,
I've got
looked at that when I was up at Battersea a couple of weeks back. You haven't made any content on it yet, have you?
No, I've literally recorded me unboxing it. I opened the lid to get the bong, and that was it. I haven't done anything else. I haven't even set it up yet.
So when you buy units like that, how much of a setup on the Mac do you actually do? Do you do a full migration in, or do you just literally sign into the basic accounts you need?
No, I do it fully because my videos, I did that last year with the M2 13-inch MacBook Air.
Yeah.
I do like to actually use it for a day and record just me using it. And, some content might come out of it, some might not. But I think the way I'm approaching is almost like a day in the life video. So I'll set it up normally as I would if this was my only machine. And I'll try to do my work.
What configs did you go for on that?
I think this is the 16 gig, but 256, which I know is probably not ideal for most people because people say 256
not enough.
SSD is not enough. But I rely a lot on external storage, and I'm actually quite happy with that. So for me, and just based on my previous experience with the 13-inch, it should be okay.
Yeah, because I got the M2 MacBook Air down here from last year, the 13-inch, and I put one of those things on there that tries to clean your Mac up. I won't mention the name. And the only thing is, it keeps on giving those big red flashing signs to me that you're out of memory.
Right.
And it's not. It's almost like it's too aggressive at what it's doing.
Yeah, I sort of trust some of them because some of them are quite reputable and they've been around for a while. And I've used, it's not a clean, the Mac one, is one that recover deleted files.
Okay, yeah.
And they saved my life before. So, I kind of trust some of them, but you never know. I always remove them after I use it because I'm just scared of viruses and stuff.
So you haven't had a chance to use that at all yet? You don't know what your thoughts on it are?
No, I don't even know what the screen is like. I literally opened it, recorded me opening it.
Yeah.
That's my unboxing video B-roll done. But
Cool.
I really want to take it to a cafe and do some work because that's what it's for, right? It's almost like a commuting, traveling
That was
machine.
the point. See, I did make a video about it, even though I didn't own it. I kind of said, well, I do own it because I own
okay,
a
gotta watch
13-inch
that.
one. So mine was very much the kind of narrative, unless you're coming from, okay, we're in a different position that we review them and we've got too many Macs more Macs than we actually need. But for the actual consumer that's going to go and buy it, my point was being, unless you're coming from a really old, an Intel machine, you don't, and you've got an M2 13-inch, you don't need to switch. Yeah, of course the screen size is nicer. Yeah, it is. But performance-wise, they're going to be the same. Yeah. So my video is very much going on the angle, look, it's for some people. If you've got a kid that's going off to uni and they need a new Mac that's going to see them through, absolutely I'd go for the 15-inch.
Yeah, my going in position is I wouldn't say upgrade your M1 MacBook Air to this because it doesn't feel to me that is a and that was my position, right? Because I've got an M2 13-inch.
Just if you can hold those up, they can see the size difference between them.
Yeah, so this is the 13-inch.
13, yeah.
M2?
M2.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a difference, right? But is that enough, just the screen size? And that was my going in position. Would I upgrade it just for the screen?
Yeah.
My initial position was no, because even though I do video editing sometimes, and it hasn't been, the 13-inch did get me out of jail when I was on holiday and stuff. But when you're in those situations, you're not going to do it day in, day out anyway. It's almost like one of those get out of jail cards. So carrying that extra screen just for the sake of it,
Yeah,
it didn't make sense to me.
One of the points I made in the video, that the USP of the MacBook Air is its portability. The fact like today, I've come to you, I wouldn't think about bringing a MacBook Pro, but it's only if I decide to pull over, do some emails, check on Twitter. That's all it's there for. Yeah. And when it gets to 15-inch, I just wonder if it's getting that little bit too big, that little bit too heavy. It's fractionally heavier.
I don't know. I do like the idea, but I wouldn't say is an ideal machine for someone who already has the 13-inch. I'd say if it's your first MacBook Air, there's a lot to be said there, I think.
Absolutely. So if I was coming into it fresh now, and I was either advising somebody to buy a new Mac at the moment. Yeah. For most people, that's going to be a far better buy than a MacBook Pro. It's going to do virtually everything most people need.
I mean, I will ask my viewers. I'd love to know what people are actually genuinely thinking about, because are they really looking at this as their next step from the 13-inch, or is this like you're saying, as a student or a first, kind of grab and go sort of machine that you have? It could be like a luxury item, right? Some people have
people can let us
a
know
MacBook
here as well.
Pro and can afford a second machine. That could be a great one, but you're talking like a luxury.
Funny, I know you will have had odd comments well, you will have had plenty of odd comments, but I woke up to a comment after I put that video up about the 15-inch, the 13-inch MacBook Air. And somebody just said, why have you got more than one Mac? Well, my business, my money, I have bought them, they weren't given to me, and it's kind of what I do. I talk about Macs, so that's why I've got more than one Mac. But I thought, what a weird comment to make.
It's weird, especially you're watching a tech channel and you're asking why you have multiple devices, right? I mean, I always have that challenge as well. It's like, why you have so many phones? It's like, well, do you want a review that is going to be rounded and give you, a perspective from someone who's used others, or do you want someone, who just knows one thing?
And I've still got your Google.
Silly.
When we're struggling for content in mid-August, when there's absolutely nothing about, I've
still got the Pixel Google. Right now is trending, right? So I think it's a good.
We'll talk then. We'll talk about doing that. So you're going to make a video on that. I just recently made a video this week on the Beats. When I was here last time, I told you that I bought them. Yeah.
They look decent.
They look lovely.
Yeah.
They look a lot better than they sound. It's funny. I did the old trick. I didn't watch any videos, or I didn't read any content about them until I put my video up, and they are, they're just, they're not what I expected. And yet other people that seem to be sent them, they said the audio is really good. Now, I don't know.
That's a coincidence, right? Yeah, have you tried the other ones, the other transparent ones? I wonder if this is just like to compete with those. Is it One or something?
Yeah, the One, because they've done the phone as well, haven't they?
Yeah.
That's something else I should probably pick up, actually, do a transparency test.
Yeah, again, the only reviews I've seen are from people from, who got it sent to them.
Yeah. Do you have a question? So when you make a video and your video says something totally different to what the majority are saying, and I was thinking, hold on a minute, no, the audio really isn't that good. And then I was watching these videos after mine had gone up saying they're as good as, almost as good.
Mine are the opposite. I've got a problem where I get so excited about the shiny new toy that I think is better than it is. I think I did that with the AirPods Max. Everyone was saying it was crap, and I was like, my God, this is amazing. I think in that occasion, I was actually right. People later said, oh, actually, this sound quality and especially spatial audio is amazing. But yeah, typically I tend to overreact sometimes on my newer videos, especially if it's a new tech, because I just like new gadgets. Occasionally, I do get one of those where I say, hang on, everyone else is saying it differently.
But I sat down that night after I posted my video, which, by the way, typical for me, has had no views. But I'm used to that now. I'm hardened to it. And we're going to cover that later on. We're going to cover that later on. In fact, also what you said there about AirPods Max, we'll get onto content in a minute, because I think that's going to be one of my next videos, oddly. But I then decided, no, trust my own ears. I know what I heard. And if you are thinking about those beats, the biggest thing I found when I turned on the ANC was the whole EQ of whatever you were listening to really dramatically altered. So yes, it was cutting out some background sound, but at the detriment of cutting out what you're actually listening to. It just, I didn't like them.
I only have one or two channels that I go to for audio, and I, and I try to, because and they all say, all kind of the people who are dedicated audio channels, they'll say it's very subjective, right? But there are songs and things that you've listened to so many times that you kind of know what they should sound like, right? And if you listen to them in like proper professional headphones or monitor speakers, you kind of know what to expect. And when you hear it in a tiny little earbuds, there's a big gap, and you can definitely hear the difference. But
normally when I'm even with these, I've got at my studio, I've got a set of power balance neutral monitors. So I start off always, and I've got a couple of reference tracks I always go to, like you said, that I know in and out.
Yeah.
I always just start off listening to one of the monitors, as good as it's going to get, then go into my biodynamic studio headphones, listen to it on that, and then I kind of go down. So I've kind of very because the brain's got such a short retention.
Yeah, and there's a great article. I think it's by a company called Hi-Fi Audio or something. It's a website. I think they started as a website, and they probably have a channel now. But they have this 10 or 15 tracks that they go to for their tests. But they said, listen for these sort of things. And I used that as my guide as well, because there were things in there that I never heard about, like not presence, but I forgot. I think it's called stage.
Yeah, the soundstage.
Yeah, soundstage. That's right. So yeah, there's definitely little things that you can pick up to review some of these things. But audio stuff on my channel just it's pants.
Oddly, well, obviously, when I set the channel up, it was tech and audio. So, and I've probably done too much tech and not enough audio. And something I'm going to try and work on. And again, I realised, I think it was having listened to those that I don't give myself enough credit. I'm not saying I'm an audiophile, whatever that really is, but I think my ears are better tuned than I give them credit for. Because again, on those, one of the problems was there was no mids. So the voice was just sitting in the midst of all the instruments. Obviously, the mids is where most of the action happens with our voice.
Yeah.
But also a lot of the instruments sit there. So you need to have something good going with those drivers to get the mids out.
It's a bit of a running joke on YouTube, right? Every YouTuber will say, I'm not an audiophile. But, that just means someone who loves audio. So I think we all are. But,
because it kind of matters, doesn't it? It kind of matters.
Yeah.
So we've got things we're going to talk about to do with YouTube, as we do, because it's really turned more into a YouTube podcast, which is great. And, I'm all for that. So we're in this weird time of year right now where there's kind of not a lot of new things happening in our world. Yeah, you've got the MacBook Air to talk about, but by and large, it's a little bit barren. We kind of think.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if we're just being spoiled, right? Because I think we had a not horrendous, but so busy September. I think it was last year. That is hard to kind of get to that peak again, right? To get where there was an Apple Watch Ultra, there was so many new products that were exciting,
2,
and on Android devices as well. In my case, Fold and all these things that really busy and really helped grow the channel. So yeah, you're right. Right now, there's probably not enough new things, but at the same time, I'm thinking there's enough things out there that are still popular, and I just know. I mean, today was a good example, right? I know. In my last few videos, it was being completely off-piste, kind of a sponsored turd, as we like to call them. But I just put out a video on something that I know is almost like playing to the audience, right? I know what they were like, and I can already see the video is doing well. So sometimes it doesn't need to be busy or new. I think it's...
So do you follow down this line of the whole 1 for me, 3 for them kind of idea, that you'll make a video, just a passion video for you, something... a light or whatever, a camera mount. Will you make a video that is just something you really enjoy using, knowing it's going to tank?
I think the approach has been more on the financial side now, if I'm honest. Because, I used to kind of have one of those like 9 videos that I'll do for YouTube and try to grow the channel. One will be something that I just enjoy talking about. And I've done those several times. I just like to edit and have something crazy. I had like a wolf coming into the green screen before, do some crazy stuff like that I just enjoy doing for fun.
Yeah.
Those days I think are gone now, because this is it's becoming a bit of a business. I am looking at it. Yeah, if I'm going to go off piste, it's going to be because of a sponsored video to fund the other videos. It's kind of as simple as that. But as you're saying, it's the same thing, right? Because I know those videos will tank, but equally they will help me fund, to buy a new MacBook Air when it comes out, or to buy the new iPhone when it comes out. So those sponsored turds are very much
drivers
at the moment anyway. They're a necessary evil.
And you've been in this business now long enough. Are there seasonal patterns with payouts? I mean, if we look just at AdSense, I know that's kind of not necessarily the best metric, but at least it's a consistent metric in that you're always going to get some. Does it alter much seasonally?
It used to. I mean, it's a bit weird, right? Because I never considered AdSense an income source anyway, because it's a dangerous game, right? Because 1 month can be amazing, next month could be really poor. But it used to be the case where January for tech was dead, like nothing happened. I think Apple cottoned to that, started to release stuff in January.
Yeah.
And this year, January was incredible.
So much,
Last year was great for a lot of creators, not for me, but for a lot of creators, last year was the same. So I think it's getting less and less, because, if you cover lots of different tech, there's always going to be, a month that's busy. I have a number that I'm mentally, I'm thinking I should be hitting that at least every month. But this month, for example, has been half that.
Let's talk about planning content, or even before that, the ideas for content. So before you actually get down to planning out when you're going to make videos and release it, where do you draw inspiration from for what to make videos on? Because you're, again, a broader tech channel. You're not just Apple. You're a very fair divide between Apple and Samsung and Android and laptops and gaming computers.
Yeah.
So is it when you're out, you might suddenly see something in a shop or in a coffee shop or somebody using something and you think, actually, I could turn that into content?
It used to be a lot more like that, kind of, on a week by week basis. I would go, right, what should I plan for the next video next week? I can't do that anymore. Right. One of the reasons is the seasoning, right? The seasonality of YouTube. So yes, I do have a calendar that will say, right, that's when iPhone 15 will come. So a few weeks before, I need a couple of renders, I need some news, I need to do a bit of research on what's coming or what the features are and whatever to talk about it, whether it's a waste of money or not, because that's what worked before. So I'm kind of just repeating that recipe. With some flexibility. The video this week, for example, I knew I needed to make potentially a 6-month review. I wasn't really planning on making a 5-month review, but this month is being so bad that I thought, well, all those videos, the 3 months and all of the previous ones did really well. So I thought I may as well do a 5-month now. So that wasn't planned, although it's kind of, it was easier to make because, it's just kind of almost repeating what you've already said. But sometimes I will see something that a viewer might say, hey, have you looked at this feature, or I'm having this problem. So sometimes a viewer will trigger an idea and I'll say, right, can I fit that into a video, or can I make a video especially for this? I mean, when I did an iPadOS 17 video recently, there was a lot of questions around listening to say like YouTube and music on the iPad at the same time. And I know you can do it in other devices, but on the iPad, you can never do that. And you still can't on the beta version.
Right.
But a lot of people are asking about that. So I'm thinking that's got to be something to be talked about.
Yeah.
So that will probably not make an entire video, but it will make
contribution to
a segment into a video. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've started now because, as you know, there's so many metrics that are available to us. I've got obviously the views I get on videos is one. Then in YouTube Studios, you've got your analytics where you can see what of your videos are performing well.
Yeah.
And then past that, I've got vidIQ. I can look at to see what viewers are watching apart from that, what's similar to my content. Yeah. And on top of that, also my website, which is growing reasonably well. I mean, it's getting about 12,000 clicks a month.
Yeah.
Which for a small,
That's
website,
good,
and it's now got AdSense on it. I'm getting a tiny little bit of revenue from that. But equally, I can see what the favorite clicks are on that website. And for me, oddly, it's the monitor, the studio display is by far the most popular thing I'm making videos on, which is why when I came in today, I said, you got the M8 Samsung monitor. I'm thinking about just getting a comparison because the way you kind of stumble into something and people seem to enjoy you talking about a certain thing. Yeah. Like they enjoy you talking about Samsungs and phone cases and things like that. People seem to almost like creators talking about one particular thing. Yeah,
it's hard to get out of that. I mean, for a long time when I was sub 10K, people liked my case reviews, and whenever I didn't do, I did something different. The video, I mean, like a brand new iPhone 12. I'll never forget this. Got it almost on launch date. Did a review on it. I went to Sardinia. Did amazing like drone shots and everything. Tanked. But I made a week later about a phone case for it, and it did like 10,000 views in a few days.
So that's something that'd be interesting to me, and also probably for people that are watching and listening to this. When you're faced with something like a phone case, which is, let's face it, pretty simple. How do you dress it up?
Talk for 10 minutes.
Yeah. So how do you? Because I'm just sitting here thinking now. If I was trying to think about how to eulogize and make a phone case sound sexy.
Any product, right? You can look at it from several perspectives. So I actually had a template for cases, which was talk about the design, the build quality, and that can be applied to anything.
Yep.
So I had a bit of a script, and then for me, and it's always been the same with any review I do, is try to get the thing in a out of not in a studio scenario, but just take it out and put a bit of raindrops on it. And I got so many comments that people say, "Thank you for taking the thing into daylight," because they'd never seen it. The product that you see on the website for the brand is all studio photography, right? So people never see in hand outside. So that was one of the things I used to do, and it is hard, right? Because it's like, yes, the buttons are clicky. Yes, the edge. When you put the phone facing down, it's not going to scratch the screen. Duh.
I think one of the first videos I ever saw when I sort of first came across you, donkeys back, was you standing in that doorway there doing a drop test. I can picture. Oh
yeah,
it clearly.
Remove the carpet. Yeah, and there's a very thin layer of carpet, and it's concrete underneath, so it's perfect for a drop test. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Well, at least one of them this year again when the iPhone 15 comes out, because one of the case brands is sponsoring a video.
So you looking at far in advance? You've already got a case video sponsor.
Yeah.
Lined up.
I'm not that good. I mean, some of the brands have been good at saying.
Is that returning
the
brands?
Campaign? Yeah. And last year was the same. I had a couple fighting for content. It's like, okay, look.
Oh wow.
I've got a limited amount of time, but I can do 2 videos. You can have this one, and you can have this one.
Right. Yeah.
So which is good. I mean, in this year I've been able to completely say no to dedicated videos, which is a major win.
One we seem to recall.
For the busy iPhone season, because
equally, I'm glad to say, since we were last together, that whole situation sorted itself out amicably in the end, didn't it?
Yeah,
So
sort of.
good.
I mean, I had to keep asking them to delete stuff because they posted personal data of mine. I was like,
I didn't
really?
know.
Not only did you didn't pay me, well, they eventually did.
Yeah, dragging their heels.
So yeah, it was sort of amicably, but it was stressful. Yeah.
And I don't actually mind mentioning the figures. Since we were together, I've had my first Google paycheck. I sent you a screenshot of it. September 2021, I started this. Still only at 1,300 subs, and I got my first paycheck for £60.94 of AdSense wealth.
Buying lunch today.
I'm living the life, I tell you. I don't know where to. I mean, honestly, I don't know what to spend it on first. I've got not an idea. And it's this idea. One of the videos I was thinking of making, I don't know if I can pull it together or not, was when I started this channel out. I promised myself I wasn't going to spend anything on the channel until I started earning AdSense money. And I think it'd be a real laugh to go back now and just look at the thousands that I must have spent on improving the quality of what we deliver.
I still haven't made profit. I don't think I made. I mean, the amount of money I spent on the channel versus how much I made, I'm pretty sure is.
Well, yeah, because the easy bits say, okay, you just spent £1,500 on that MacBook Air, but that's nothing compared to these 3 tripods and sliders we got sitting in front of us.
Light, the studio space.
We got 2 Sony cameras there. Yeah, the studio space, that's monthly rent. Everything about it costs money. So it's easy to sort of just sit, well, I bought that to review, but that's actually the small end, isn't it?
It really does take time. But I think, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel of it becoming a profitable business. But at the moment, it's pretty much maybe quids in.
Well, something else we've got to talk about. Let's not drone on about my 1,300 pitiful ones. Somebody here can fill a stadium now with 65,000 people.
Yeah, that was. I mean, it feels surreal to me because I remember. I don't know why that number is important to me because I remember
was the stadium you said you could fill. I saw it on Twitter.
Oh, I look at a Wikipedia list of stadium and every big milestone I go. But yeah, right now 65,000. I can fill up Estádio da Luz, which is Benfica's stadium. Or Hard Rock Stadium, which is one of Miami Dolphins, I think.
Yeah, that's right. I can't fill my local Waitrose, but
we can have a big pub party. Jeez,
but 65,000.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I'm happy with that because, as I said, I used to my first year, 2 years, I was looking up to channels, to creators who were at this number. So it's in a way is a responsibility as well because there's probably younger creators and with starting out today looking at my channel and think trying to draw inspiration from that because that's what I was doing, looking at bigger channels with 50, 60,000 and going, wow, how do they do that?
And did you ever, I'm open to admit it's crossed my mind many times about walking away from it, so I think I'm so deeply invested into it now, and I don't know if it's a fool's paradise, but I keep thinking that term will be somewhere, and I'm thinking I don't believe I'm making really, really shit content. So I think it's just a case now, keep plugging away. And we're going to turn into more of a conversation in a minute. But have you ever had that thought where you thought, this isn't for me? I can't do this anymore.
On a weekly basis, mate. You know, it's so. I mean, if you look at my graphs, it's literally up and down, especially this month. So there's every, you know, that doubt is always there. Thinking, oh, gosh, you know, I thought that video would do a lot better, and that happens even now, right? I mean, I had a gaming setup video that I invested a lot of money and time on it, and it hurts, right? Because I knew it wouldn't do as well as my Samsung or iPhone videos or iPads or whatever, but I was expecting maybe, you know, 10,000 views, because I thought, you know, it's still a decent video, but no,
where do you think? I mean, you're just talking about your subs. Have you seen any constant growth this year to getting towards that 65k, or have you again seen like an ebb and flow of subs coming monthly?
No, it's been consistently good. I mean, this month was worse than May, for example, but it's been consistently, you know, 3.5, I think was the minimum. I got 3,500 a month. But January or February was ridiculous, almost 5,000 in 1 month. So it's been around that 4, 5, 3.5, and this month is, I think, just past 3. But it's been decent on a daily basis. You know, that's kind of a good metric that I was having for a long time. It was well over 100 a day, and that was a good good period of time. So that is my target, to keep keeping, because growth is growth, whether it's 10 a day, 100 a day, 200 a day.
Yeah, I know. That's what I can't remind myself. But
it just annoys me though that there are videos clearly that would bring lots of subs. You know, my videos that, for example, the Apple Watch Ultra versus Garmin.
Yeah.
The amount of likes, and I think is my top video in terms of how much people are watching as well throughout. I mean, if you see there's that gray line in the graph, right?
Yeah.
This has got the pink line well above the norm.
The
so
average,
it's clearly an outlier in my channel. But YouTube kind of, you know, just played it safe almost. They're not pushing it out to millions of people.
Yeah, because when I got it today, Alex was actually just uploading the video that's coming out.
Bit of a panic there, but yeah. It's out now.
It's done. Yeah. That was on the...
It's 5 months on the S23 Ultra,
Yeah. So we were, as you were sitting uploading, we were talking about this, and the kind of the weird games that YouTube can play behind our back. And although this is very much our own businesses, at the back of it, we're still at the behest of what YouTube decides is working. Now, when you make... I mean, honestly, that Beats one, I thought that was reasonably contemporary. They've only just become available in the UK.
It's searchable, yeah.
And I thought Beats is a good brand. I've done a lot of SEO in it, which we talked about last time, to make sure it's pretty findable. And it's done ridiculously poorly. Now, and you were saying the same things. You know, you've made videos that you know that if it was put in front of people, they would find interesting. So where do you think the parameters come? I'm trying to avoid using the algorithm word because it's a bit sort of played out.
And it's that conflict, right? For me, it's a battle that we have to go through every video. One is YouTube said, and it says now in the graph, you know, in clear, like black and white. So it's your current viewers, your current audience are enjoying this video, which is helping us pushing out to other people. Great. So that's a win-win, right? So you know, like if you do a video on something that your audience wants, they will click and that will push it out. But YouTube also says, you know, if you go on that Twitter account, the creator account, whatever, there's always, and then if you watch the YouTube creator community videos that they put out, it's all about, okay, how do you expand into a different niche or expand within your niche as well, is by creating different content. That's what's going to bring new people in. But the reality is, you know, like I did a gaming PC video, it's tech, it's me talking the same way I talk about other stuff, beautiful created, you know, B-rolls and stuff. And it's very, I mean, there's not many channels out there buying all these components that I bought of the latest, and so the searchability and whatever, it should be all there. But because my current audience are not interested, you know, it's like a 3.5% CTR. Therefore, YouTube's like,
doesn't want it. No, and that's the thing. We're encouraged to try and not be too niched. And yet the minute you walk away and do something creative and make...
It's like, back in your box.
Exactly that. So how do we round that circle off? How do we know what they really want from us? You know, are we just supposed to stay there making the same iPhone video?
I'm really fighting against it because I enjoy making content that is not always the same. Because otherwise I'd still be doing, you know, the same videos, you know.
Absolutely.
The first one that did well, I think, was a case video. I'll still be doing those. But yeah, and it hurts, right? When you do something, you work... If not as hard, maybe harder than your normal content because it's out of your comfort zone, but there's no reward there. I mean, at least I haven't had one that's, it was completely out there. I had one actually. iPad videos usually don't do that well in comparison in my channel. The iPad OS 17 that I did actually did really amazingly well. Again, really high retention and above normal average view duration. So I was pleased with that because iPad videos typically don't do that well for me. But yeah, if I veer off too much, like a gaming PC, that's when things
just dropped. Yeah. So I guess that's kind of really...
desk setup videos, they suck on my channel, even though
I don't think I have the nuts to do them. Because again, they're one of those ones that look really simple, but they're actually not to make them look entertaining and to
they're not simple. They are potentially a good source of revenue
because you've got loads of product.
It feels to me that the channels that did well on those, back in 2020 when everyone was like, shit, I've got to work from home.
Yeah.
I need a desk. I need a monitor or whatever.
I want it to look pretty and
Now it's kind of, you got to go for the extraordinary, right? It's like the ultimate gaming setup, the ultimate desk setup. And there's so many of those. It's I think, unless you're special and you've already been, you had a video that did 1 million views on those, you're not really going to be that
because you haven't done much tutorials, have you? That's not really been your bag.
Yeah, I've done a couple. I've done early days. Again, they tanked. So I was like, okay, I'm not doing that again. But I did a few audio tutorials. I did Final Cut tutorials. Not Final Cut, Premiere Pro tutorials. Yeah, I was learning my ways too. So, I mean, if I watch them there now, it's like, no wonder
You've left every video up. You haven't
even the one that I think my very first video is me reviewing a pair of trainers.
That's right.
It's still up there. And it's probably hurting the channel, to be honest. But
it's part of the history, right?
Yeah.
It's part of where you came from.
And it did well. It's like 10,000, if not more views. So
which speaks for itself,
For a first video,
So that sort of brought us neatly round to one of the main points we want to talk about now, which is the whole quantity over quality debate. Now, this is something that's really close to my heart, and I will absolutely name and shame you that when I was watching the way that you edit, I just thought, I like the way that looks. I really like the way that looks. So I upped my game, and I spent a good couple of months editing the arse out of everything. I wasn't just using automated text. I was physically typing in, twisting text around. I think that was my Canon probably just cut off.
That's good. So we're now
one by one
holding on. We've got one camera. Hold on, Sony, don't die on us.
I really tried to up my game, and a couple of people noticed it, but interestingly, most didn't get particularly good views. So then I wondered, we were talking about whether you question yourself. So I thought possibly, okay, I'm over editing. I'm pleasing the editor in me, pleasing editors that are watching it. People that enjoy Premiere Pro editing, whatever. But it's not actually, at the end of the day, helping the business.
No, your audience doesn't they might give a crap, but it's how much do you go out of your way to do something that they're going to appreciate.
No, I just saw your timeline there on that video. I know for you, that was nothing extraordinary, but it was still a reasonably busy timeline.
I was up until 2 a.m. last night. It was,
and this is the thing people don't see. Those hours that we put in, those yards that we put in, and that's not a crying almost on a sleeve kind of thing. It's what we choose to do. We enjoy doing it.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned something around Medium going through a bit of a period of flux.
It's flattened.
Yeah.
Getting a lot of new followers, but it's not translating into paying. And I'm relying more on writing for money than...
And I wouldn't stop that. What I would say, though, is that your articles should be videos.
Yes. Now, I'm going to focus more on that. I'm not doing it enough. But yesterday, for instance, I wrote about AirPods.
Look at me giving you advice here. You know what
No, absolutely. Hey, that's the idea. Hopefully, you and I bounce off ideas of one another. We chat. And I loved sitting there watching you upload. I was like a kid in a candy store because it's like, okay. Because it's weird. You know what it's like. We spend all our time. You get used to your own habits. So I've got my system down that I do. And although 8 out of 10 things that I did were exactly the same, you did a couple of things that were different, like uploading subtitles that I've never done. I use Premiere Pro. It auto-generates subtitles for me. I'm not even exporting that to a CRT.
I don't know what it does, but I like to think that is an indexed bit of text that will be searchable. So I'm at least for the top. I think I had 15, 20 languages to every video. Well, most videos.
So to the point you're making about the blogs, I realise I'm sitting on a potential content goldmine because I do write 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And what I'm now doing is making sure 1 day a week I'm writing a blog that I know is going to be next week's video.
That could be a quick talking head, very minimum B-roll, and it's a 5-minute video.
Yeah, and the other thing, and again, I've heard Mark talk about this. It's very true that on the whole, the people that read don't watch. So my YouTube audience generally won't go and read me. So you can get away with repurposing that same content.
But there's a lot of, and I don't know really how this works, but I remember the beginning when I was like going in Squarespace, and we're not sponsored by the way, just going in there and creating my website and learning about deep links and stuff, and how that's important because it creates that web of connection to your content. So those articles on Medium, you could be saying, as I discussed in this video here with a link, those little clicks that would take you to a video mean a lot. I think YouTube do see those as there's an external search coming in from here sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, so the video that's up at the moment on those beats started off as a blog last week, and now I've moved away from fully scripted. All I do is go through that blog and pull out the points that I think are most interesting. I have a MacBook Air just sitting to one side of the camera, and I just flick down for the bullet points. But I've already sat and practiced the conversation.
When you write, right? That's the thing. The only thing I would say is
because you don't write regularly, do you? Got a Medium page?
I've made a promise to myself to do at least one a month, which is like a very low, the low threshold, but better than nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Because initially I thought I could just repurpose my script, and I can't. I mean, they're not readable things because it's very colloquial, and
it will still take work and time.
Yeah. But the structure is there. The ideas, for what I want to say in an article are there in pretty much the same order. But for me, I prefer to do the video first because then I can just get some of the images from the video and use that in the article as well.
Yeah.
But I know Mark, for example, Mark Ellis, he does the opposite. He like you do, he writes first.
That's exactly
and that becomes the video later.
Yeah, and I've underplayed the value of what I do because I spend so much time writing, and because it's been more successful for me. I haven't realised that I should actually be pulling on that. So now I am planning at least one blog a week that I know. So I wrote on AirPods Max yesterday.
And I would say your articles are amazing. I mean, there are really there's a lot of insight in them, and they're mostly Apple related.
Yes,
right?
they are.
That's a no-brainer to me. Just like become a short, even if it's like a 4 or 5 minute video. On what you're saying. Yeah.
Well, as I say, I was looking at the AirPods and thinking, what would I really like for them to? What would I like next? It's possible that something's going to happen in September with them. So I wrote a blog about that yesterday, and that will be next week's video. I've already got the thumbnail in mind. I've got my opening frame in mind. I've got a Banks headstand that I was sent in mind.
Great recipe there. You can write and you can speak. I mean, if I try really hard, I can write, but I can't off the cuff sort of talk to a camera without a script. So I think you've done most of your research and whatever. By the time you wrote the article, right, it's in your head what you want to say. I say use that and.
Yeah, and it's something I'm going to pull on more often. I just realised also, well, we should mention both of us have got newsletters because I read yours is on Substack, isn't it?
It is on Substack,
now, I've never really got into Substack. What's the benefit of that over me? It's slightly different, isn't it, Substack?
Yeah, it's very newsletter focused, but they push your newsletter to people who may never have heard from you. So I like that aspect that it doesn't rely so much on you. It seems that it grows organically. They do recommend, and I get as a Substack user. I get recommended other people as well. So, something
I've not tried. Maybe I should look into Substack.
Yeah, again, I started quite consistently one every week and quickly realised, geez, there's a lot of work.
It takes time, everything. Because we try to tick as many boxes as we can. And when I was at the London podcast show, I was sitting there watching, basically the podcast show was full of different stages with different speeches going on through the day. So I tried to highlight the ones that I thought most interesting or pertinent. And one of the ones there involved Sony, and they were saying that the main thing you've got to do is be on every platform. And that's why Alex and I were just talking today. We're hopefully going to put this up onto Spotify as a video.
Yeah,
it already goes as an audio.
Yeah,
but I mean, again, it's just every platform needs to be ticked.
Let's take Joe Rogan out of his throne.
Hey, I'm ready to do that. He can spare $1 or two, can't he? If we're $100 behind him, I'll sleep easy.
Watch out, Joe.
It is a case. I know you said you just deleted your TikTok. I've never even started a TikTok account. But I've started using my old Instagram account. I've renamed it. It was very much a music account for when I was on radio, but now I've kind of deleting all the musicians, getting more and more creators on there. And it's amazing. People do begin to watch you on Insta. And even today when I was here, I took a portrait just of your roadcast and just put it up as a nice little picture. Going to be using that soon. Blah 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 blah. You just got to be thinking content the whole time.
It's nonstop. And as a part-time creator, right? Because we still have my case anyway. Most days I have meetings. I've got it's really hard to keep track of all of this. So that's why I deleted TikTok because it was It was not growing. I wasn't making any money on it. So it's like, and frankly, I think for tech is really hard, right? Because I was trying to use TikTok the way TikTok users expect, right? So there's a bit of fun, bit of like, you don't really need to think about it. To try and merge that with tech is really hard, because as soon as people say, okay, that's about a phone or whatever, they just flick off. And, you know, I'm an old git, right? If I was maybe a teenager or a 20-year-old dancing and talking about fun, maybe that would work.
Funny enough, that's something that when we were talking about sort of making the content that's fitting, I was saying that I've kind of almost been under-editing. I've suddenly realised also people might look at me and think, well, we don't expect him, the way he looks, to be doing the bells and whistles, and maybe they look at me and think, right, what we want is somebody that's more measured. So I think I've just got to play into my character traits.
Yeah.
And this is what we've spoken about. Only you can tell your story on that MacBook Air the way you're about to tell it.
Yeah.
There's thousands of videos out there, but only Alex will tell it Alex's
No, exactly.
way.
And it's futile to try and, I mean, I think it's important to, you know, if you admire someone, to go and try and see how they do it and try and replicate what they do. So you learn the skills. Because, you know, throughout those 3 years, I'm pretty sure I picked up skills from people that I've watched that was like, I want to do that for this segment. You do need to find your own style. And my most recent videos have all had an element where I felt myself that if you met me down the pub, that's how it would sound.
Yeah.
I can't say the same for the videos I did earlier in my YouTube.
And absolutely, since I stopped using an auto cue, the last 2 or 3 videos, I suddenly feel that I'm having a conversation.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, there's a guy, my studio is over some architects, and I've become really good friends with a couple of them. And one of the guys there's got a real interest in what I happen to talk about. So he's become my avatar behind the camera.
That's
I
really
pretend
cool,
I'm talking to Greg. I've got this picture in my mind of what if I was downstairs in the kitchen, that's what I'd be talking.
A lot of people say that's really good when you're talking to the camera, to just, use it. That's your friend you're talking to. And and that is so powerful, like, because people, I mean, so many people commented when I let loose, and it's usually when I go off script.
Exactly.
And I'm either outside or something. And people have commented saying, it feels like you're talking to me.
That's what got a bottle. That's AdSense, isn't it?
Yeah. There's a chap called Peter Lindgren. We talk about him a lot, right?
Yeah. We're hoping to get him on maybe sometime.
One of the key things I picked up from his videos is he doesn't use you guys. He doesn't use hey guys or whatever. He just says you all the time.
Because that's too generic, isn't it? You guys is a brand. It's everybody.
Yeah. And is that eye connection to the camera and being genuine, right? And I think that's one thing that I pick. I mean, he's a master and does so many cool stuff, right? But that was one thing that I think if there's one thing I learned, and he really helped me, you know, early on, was stop generalizing. You know, just focus on your friend.
Yeah, and that's definitely something. And that's why, even though my videos are doing poorly at the moment, I've decided I'm going to stick with this because I feel more true to myself.
Yeah,
I feel I can sit down and do that same. It's making it sound boring. If I said that same video every week, you know what I mean? That I can be that same person.
Yeah.
And I know the creators I like watching are the people that I feel I'm stepping in almost to their life. And
even the camera angles sometimes. I mean, there's so many little tricks almost, right? That if you're looking down at the camera, people might feel that you're a bit arrogant and whatever, right? Whereas if you look slightly up, it's so many different ways of connecting that you only pick up after making videos after videos. And I'm still learning every video. I'm thinking, okay, I need to change that.
I think also an area that perhaps you and I have both been a bit slow on recently is shorts. One of those things I find.
I'm wearing shorts.
Hey, yeah, but hey, it's summer in the city. I go through spells where I really like making them, and then other times, I think it's what's going on. If I don't feel there's anything that's snappy and interesting that's going to make a good short, I just don't see the point in putting content up for the sake of it.
The only time I manage to do it is when I do like a batch recording. So I'll write 5 shorts. And I record them all, edit them all, and then program them to be uploaded. Those are the times when I think, okay, I can do this. But then they fall by the wayside, and I think my approach has been okay actually, because I don't stress about them. And one of them is actually doing amazingly well for my channel anyway. And I'm like, I didn't even try it. I don't even know. But I think it was about a phone. It was the frames per second that the Samsung seemed to have down from 30 to 24. It's something I picked up. I don't know if I'm talking out of my ass or not. I just said, right, I'm going to record this and just put it out there. And the engagement I get saying, oh, why are you being so stupid? You know, that's normal. Or other people going, oh, I didn't know that. You know, there's this engagement that's going on, and this views just keeps going and going. It's not a million views,
no,
and stuff. But for my channel, it's doing really well. So I thought that's how I want to approach. That's how I want to approach shorts. Just make them, kind of fire them for
So
a
you
day.
don't take too long on them. They don't become a huge point of art. When I was with Patrick,
I say
think,
that, but in real life, I do. I mean, if you look at my camera, I've got a bracket on the side.
yeah,
So I'm not going to use my mobile. I want to use the camera, like the proper camera, to do it. Because
quality.
I don't want to compromise on quality. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that also that's important. People will be
It's probably a bad idea though. Don't take my advice on that. I think the best shorts are shorts that are recorded in crappy cameras.
I saw
and
a video,
crappy audio.
With, he's a magician. I think his name is Chris Ramsey, a friend of McKinnon's, and I saw those two together.
Oh, I've seen that.
Yeah, and Ramsey was saying to
Purposely
McKinnon,
goes on the mobile.
man, you're spending too long on. People just want it, snap and shoot, upload of the moment, bang, done.
Yeah.
And I
they
sort of
want
took
that. They want that organic feel. I haven't been brave enough yet to just do that because I think
shitty Samsungs.
Because I'm honestly scared. I'm scared of my current viewers, the 65,000 of them who subscribed to my content to see a crappy bit of video and go, no, that's not what I signed up to. But the reality is, and this is just kind of me trying to kind of convince myself that it's a good idea. YouTube, the shorts are not being pushed to your current viewers anyway.
No,
mostly.
No.
Some of them might get it, but it does go. There's that spike, and during that spike is when it needs to go viral, or do well. But if that spike that you get like 1,000 views quickly, if people swiped or didn't stay long enough, then it will die.
And equally, it's not as even if you get 1 million views, you're not getting rich off of shorts anytime soon because I understand it's all a percentage thing, isn't it? It's the top 3 or something % of people of a certain space. So if you're in the tech space, it's always going to be the McKinnons and the Marquez and the Caseys, whatever, that are going to get any money from shorts.
Yeah.
And the way it sits at the moment.
I mean, even someone we know, he's been in one of our other podcasts. He's at 2.5 million subs and his views are incredible. I mean, he's got more than 1 billion views already on his channel. But it's a Spanish language channel and he's getting peanuts, right? Because it's just not generating that CPM on shorts. I mean, I think I got £4. This is the most shorts. I got in one short. Yeah.
I don't know what percentage of my £60.94 came from shorts.
Yeah.
I'd be suggesting not even 94p, but
no.
But no, shorts something I'm going to carry on with. I made a short one last night, fun enough. And again, that was almost emotive driven because there was a new series start. You won't have seen it because you were being a busy industrious creator working till 2 a.m. But Idris Elba had a new series start on Apple TV last night called Hijack.
I want to watch that, yeah. I want to watch
Brilliant. That. It's kind of like 24, but now it's done in real time.
Oh,
so
nice.
Every episode is an hour.
Oh, brilliant.
I know they put up 2 last night on the first night.
Yeah, okay.
I'm
down.
And again, don't look at my figures because my figures are really, really, really crap. But nonetheless, I changed the title of that short this morning from something like Idris Elba in Hijack to Luther's back. And it doubled the views just by putting his best known character, because it is basically Luther on the plane. Ish. Without the overcoat. Ish. Nice. But, it's just a simple title change can make such a difference.
It's crazy. And I should do more. And I mean, there's so much tech that I'm actually giving away a lot of my tech because I haven't done a video on.
Won't by the time I've nicked it.
Yeah. But that's a perfect scenario. I mean, that box of cables there, I know it was a sponsor and I've included that in a video. But that would be a perfect one to do a short on. Just talk about these fancy looking cables.
Absolutely, yeah.
Rather than, a 5-minute video.
Well, I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday and they were saying, we'll send you some top tips and tricks. And I was immediately thinking, that's content. It's the sort of thing you just look at things and immediately think. And I'm sure like you, I mean, it'd be nice to know that tomorrow at least you're having a family day and you'll be switched off and you've got your video out now, you can actually enjoy the day. But generally, if you're going somewhere, you'll always have a camera with you and think, like when you were at Lord's the other week, I'm on a train, I'm on the tubes, this is going to be some content somewhere.
There's always, I mean, as a creator, you never really stop. I mean, a lot of jobs are, you get like a day off or like the weekend, you can like chill. When you when you creation, it just never stops. And I enjoy that.
Yeah, exactly. And it also what you invest and put into it. We noticed last time that people really seem to enjoy the last podcast. I think we were talking about much the same kind of thing. But suddenly, because you put in effort with because you edited the last video, because we were here together, but it's that conversation thing again, isn't it? We're not on video.
Yeah, I think it helps. And when I'm watching podcasts, a lot of the podcasts, I started listening to them, and then when they became video, I was like, okay, well, I prefer to watch it, even if it's just in the background. I like to every now and then glance at them and see that they are talking. I don't know. There's something fascinating about that. I don't know what it is, but yeah, we just enjoy having a chat.
Exactly, and also that the fact now that we're on as many different platforms as possible, it means that people can listen to us, watch us.
We're going to be in the Metaverse soon.
Oh,
I got my first Metaverse email. So, Let me
explain. Do, because I'm really confused now.
Last night, I was like, Jesus, really?
What is a Metaverse email?
Like for a sponsorship.
Oh, right.
So they want me to create a video that will be played inside the Metaverse. And I'm like,
that's a challenge.
Sounds really cool. I mean, I'm definitely not the target audience for being anywhere near that stuff. But
was that a brand new approach?
Yeah,
somebody not heard
these
before?
guys, it's a paid review. I don't know much about what it is yet, but we'll find out soon. If I need to do some research. And I was like, Jesus, it's really interesting to get that first engagement, because I thought it was something that was coming. I didn't even know it was already existing.
The point I was just going to make, though, is with what we do, the fact the amount of hours you put in and editing and so on, and the fact that we could take days off, but kind of choose not to. And I do, this isn't blowing smoke up my arse at all, but I chose to say, look, if you've got the time free, I'm happy to drive the 90 minutes to you, because it makes such a difference. Now, this is another thing for you and I to do. I'll sit and edit the audio, I'll timestamp it, you'll edit the video. That could be time that we could take off over the weekend. We'll still be working on something we enjoy.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show, the more, I think that was lesson learned last time, the more we invest and put in, and I think that's true of YouTube as well.
With any sort of audience building, I think you've got to expose your work somewhere, right? And this is one way of doing it, podcasts, and I think there's a level of, sometimes it's not just about the audience, it's about growing community, right? So if people start to kind of enjoy what we talk about here,
exactly,
it's just nice to be able to share that.
And we've learned that as well. We've learned from seeing certainly the audio down. Once we began to find what people enjoy us talking about, and it's pivoted. It's clearly pivoted from talking about gadgets to talking about what we do. And I think that's resonating clearly with... You were saying that people are perhaps looking at you thinking, well, how does somebody with 65,000... And they'll listen to this or watch this. Okay, there's that little takeaway.
It's a sort of thing that I would love to listen to. I mean, I've early on, I was watching a lot of like YouTube guru channels. And sure, there were some useful stuff in there. But after about 1,000 subs, I was like, you know what? This is so repetitive. No, not dissing what they do, right? Because they're playing to an audience that is small creators, and they were useful for a time. But I think listening to something like this, where we're sharing daily challenges,
real life.
This one was fairly relaxed, but the last couple where we had people not paying us, and I think that's
people nicking content, and
how do you deal with that stuff? And there's so much that we sometimes just on our WhatsApp groups and DMs discuss with other creators that could be a good topic to discuss here. So I think that's a lot of value here.
And as we get towards, I was going to just finish up talking about lives briefly, because that's something else that sort of cropped into my life, and you're talking about doing a live on your MacBook Air there.
Yeah.
I had somebody on Twitter yesterday, and forgive me if I get the name wrong. It's Steve's Geek Corner. I think he follows you as well.
Okay, yeah.
Anyway, there was this really weird... I was going through Twitter last night after I finished working, and I saw he put up this screenshot, a thumbnail, and basically, really oddly, he put up on the one side... I think it was my latest video, and it showed underneath my channel, my title.
I saw
and
that
suddenly on the other side,
yeah,
there was my thumbnail on top of Mark Ellis's video. And then later on that night, I saw that Max Weinbach had mentioned that I think something had happened with one of his and Casey. So I sort of commented to Mark saying, well, at least we're in good company. But it seems that YouTube had some sort of issue last night with their
when I first
tagging.
saw it, to me, like an IT gig, I thought that's just a browser issue. But if it's happening to other people, that's a systemic YouTube problem, isn't it?
I mean, I was hoping they were going to put me on a McKinnon video or something.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah,
like, oh my
that
gosh,
was a mistake.
If they click on the subscribe and subscribe to you, it'll be awesome.
So let's just, cause I don't know how long we've been chatting, but it feels like a good long time. But lives. So since we were last together, I did my first couple of lives, and you know what? They're really fun.
I enjoyed them so much. I kick myself. I never regret doing them.
No,
but I always dread the setup and getting ready to do it. But now I'm thinking, I was just going to make him part of my, my arsenal and just do it more regularly, because every time I do it, I have a great time. People enjoy it.
Yep.
whether I'm by myself or talking to other people, seem to really enjoy that.
Well, you joined in with my one last week because you said you were working. You were right. You said
And YouTube,
bang.
YouTube puts
Love
you
it.
like on top left, like of your recommended. If one of your, it seems to me anyway, one of your subscribe channels is live, they really push it. So I enjoy that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're not scripted. I've got to the point now of treating them almost like a valid point of part of my week. So yesterday I had a few things I wanted to start off talking about, and as the more people get involved, it splinters off.
That could be like a mini newsletter in a way, right?
Yeah.
So you can just share what's going on. I'd like to make it regular, and I'd like to create a, almost like something that a lot of creators do it in a way that it's not only that day, that time he's going to be live or she's going to be live, but there's a the first 10 minutes they're going to go through this almost like a ritual. So yeah, I think people like that consistency, and they know what to expect, so they look forward to some bits. Okay, here he comes. He's going to play this game for 10 minutes, or he's going to talk about this subject for a bit.
And I mean, I actually earned a couple of quid last week on a live. You were kind enough to start the ball rolling, but yesterday, for instance, was really, really quiet. I was still on for an hour, and I don't regret it at all. And I'm going to try and keep it to 3:30 on a Wednesday for the next few weeks. I'm really enjoying it. Because I'm spending less time on editing the main video for the week, I've now got that. And I think, well, rather than just taking that time off to sit and watch the test match, I'll actually go live. It is always worth watching the Ashes.
Yes.
Daniel, if you're listening, you're 1-0 up, but not for long. We will get you back. But yeah, so, I just thought I've created that time. What better way than to use that time creatively and to give the community something back as well? Because a lot of the people that were chatting to me yesterday were people that have commented on videos.
Yeah.
And now it's not a one-way conversation.
No, it's great, and YouTube seemed to me anyway that they're getting better, because previously a live would hurt the channel later because it's like an hour of content and people are only watching, let's face it, right, 10 minutes most. Some of them will watch the whole thing or be live with you during the whole thing, but afterwards it becomes a channel hurting thing. Not anymore.
No.
I think it's completely split. Even on the stats, it shows us.
Yeah,
separate.
Most of the ones that I've done 3 now, and the views have almost doubled since they've been.
Yeah, I don't delete them anymore. I used to because they were. I think I did a podcast. So stupid. Early on, I did a podcast as a stream. They were ridiculous, and I edited like I do a video. So imagine editing an hour-long podcast like I do a video with B-roll, with cuts. It was nuts. I don't know why I did that, but yeah, they hurt the channel because it was an hour long. Yeah, and the retention was horrendous on it.
The one thing I do monetize, and I tick that box to monetize because obviously I'm in desperate need of extending my 6094. But people were saying, oh, they put an advert right in the middle of you talking, so maybe I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tricky one on that.
Well, if they pay me a super chat, I won't need to have the adverts on. It's a simple kind of draw, isn't it? You pay me, I won't pay.
Yeah, but I think it's a fine. I mean, if the talk was sponsored, like sometimes people are sponsored for the live, I'll probably, I don't know.
And that was another interesting little trick. I don't think you'll mind me saying it. If you do, cut it out in the edit.
No,
but when you were uploading, you turned off mid-roll ads.
Yeah, I don't ever do that. But this time I said that in the video. Because I felt bad, right? Because it's a sponsored video, and I talk about this sponsor for almost 2 minutes in the video. So I thought, okay, that's quite a big chunk of an ad. So I thought for this one, I'm actually going to turn off the mid-roll ads. I'll leave the ones that play before the video or after the video, but I'll take off the middle, because it is like, as a viewer, I'm thinking, I'm watching this content. He's obviously doing an ad read, which is not bad, right? That's how I fund these videos. But to have another ad say...
So equally, I suppose you could square it off by thinking, well, I've earned some revenue from the sponsor. I don't also need to get a couple of pence from AdSense.
Yeah, and AdSense, let's face it, right? And this video is actually going to do well for AdSense, I think. But I'm not sure. I don't like to take the mickey, if you like, right? It's not needed. I'm not relying on that money. Whereas if I can get more viewers to appreciate that and maybe subscribe to the channel, then I get better sponsors. And therefore, maybe I won't even need AdSense anymore, right?
And you're still doing a call to action on every video, aren't you?
Every video I do. I mean, it feels painful because it's like, especially if you're a current subscriber and you're watching me say that again, you're probably skipping that.
Yeah.
But if you're not a subscriber, it's amazing how it works, because people sometimes just forget to click. They want to subscribe, and they will probably watch your videos over and over again and not subscribe. But sponsors like that number. They like to see that you have a big channel.
I don't know if it's going to pay dividends or not, but I took a different approach on this kind of laid back chat style I'm doing now. Right at the end, I just said, oh, by the way, I'm supposed to have asked you to subscribe. If you found I was honest and gave you something of value, I'd love it. If not,
honestly,
no hard
I'd put that in the middle. That's how I would do it.
Yeah, because at the end, your attention is inevitably going to drop at the end.
It's never going to increase unless you, I don't know, do a silly dance or something.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot to be said about asking, even though it's cringy. The tests are there, but if you do a video, the same videos, one without asking, one with asking for subscribing, you get more subs on the one you asked. So
and the very last thing that I was going to mention, and I just saw it in Ulysses before, which is kind of where you script things. Have you got a basic template that you work to when you're creating?
In my head, yes.
So sort of like intro hook, or hook intro story.
Yeah, in my head that's in there. There's definitely the first thing you say needs to be, and I'm kind of learning this still. I haven't mastered it. I'm reading a few books actually on how to tell stories better. I'm just not good at it. Yeah, the first
65,000 people might disagree.
Yeah, but people do enjoy when I make a bit of a sketch at the beginning, and I'd love to do that every video, but I just don't have time. Where that is easier than to tell a story because it's I'm playing a character or whatever. But the first few seconds you need to deliver. And I'm always in conflict because I love doing an intro, like even if it's like a 10-second B-roll shot with a bit of music. I love doing that. But I've seen it straight away, every video when I do that, it dropped like 65% straight away.
I noticed that.
This one I was almost saying go straight into the content, but I couldn't. I wasn't brave enough.
See, I'm trying to turn that now because I used to sit dreaming up. I did my Steve Jobs intro a little while back, and I've tried to do all these crazy creative things. It was taking a lot of brain time. I wasn't sleeping at night, not in a bad way, but just trying to think. My brain was buzzing, thinking, I want to do this. And I realised it's not actually converting. Right now, I've got to be more business minded and think, right, let's just find something that converts.
Yeah, a lot of people are commenting on things that I would normally cut out. So I'm leaving a lot more bloopers and things like that because even when I use like not swearing, C words and stuff, but just light swearing and light like relaxing a little bit, people go, right, I subbed when you said this that way. So people appreciate you just being yourself.
Yeah. Well, I was talking. I muffed it up on this last video, and I was talking about the AirPods, and I said AirPod Gen 3. No, not Gen 3. I can't. But normally that would have really irked me, and I thought, you know what? It just shows I'm talking.
There's a human behind it, and
it's not a mistake, is it?
Going back a couple of decades here, but I used to DJ.
Yep.
And one of the things I learned was not to worry so much when you miss a beat or when you kind of say, it's completely off. The crowd will see it, but they'll also appreciate that it's not a robot behind the desk. Sorry, the decks. There's something to be said there in the video editing to not go for clinical perfection in there all the time. I mean, I strive for it, but when there's a mistake in there, sometimes I just like to leave it. That doesn't make
it less perfect. It just makes it more you. It's got your DNA on it. And what you said about DJing, it's exactly the same when I was on
It's also laziness.
I'd drop into my radio. I did my radio show last week because I pre-recorded it. We were talking about, and it was supposed to go out in July. They had a presenter down last weekend, so it went out on Saturday, and it was just lovely, the response to it. A petition got started on the station to bring me back regularly. Nice. I didn't know about it.
There you go.
I said, if you pay me, I'll do it.
If you pay me,
exactly. So that's not going to happen. But anyway, it was the same truism on radio as well, that if I say made a mistake on queuing and there was a 2-second gap, which in airtime sounds like eternity, it's a blink of an eye. And I had to realise the one thing you don't do is mention your mistake. I know it was there.
Yeah.
Nobody else will know it's there.
Yeah.
You don't highlight your mistakes.
Plow through.
Exactly that. This has been another great one, hasn't it? Really has.
Yeah, no, it
been
definitely
awesome.
Makes a big difference to be on in person.
Yeah, because none of this is, honestly, we don't sit and think what we're going to. We had a brief, should we say, we had a
I didn't even know he was coming.
The door was very locked, trust me. I'm not a bad penny. I've got the postcode, I told you. But we really don't. We had we could dress up and say a production meeting before, and basically Alex was making a coffee and I was shouting over to the kitchen, what should we talk about?
Yeah, exactly.
I think both have kind of got ideas because I sat down with you and I sort of had a few ideas. You clearly had a few ideas, quality and quantity. But I think we've covered it all. It's been loads of great content. So
that's 60 quid. Let's spend it.
Let's go and spend it. Let's do it. Yeah, awesome, mate. So we will be together again in a couple of weeks. If we can make it in person, we will.
Yeah,
as ever. Thank you for not locking the door and letting me in. And we'll see you soon.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.